This video is about strange or disturbing events that I found among people on Reddit. This story is called, "I'm currently staying at a friend's house, here's why." Through a series of pictures, the user showed how he and his brother discovered something truly disturbing in their own home. They had lived in the house for around a year and had always assumed that this bookshelf was built into the wall itself from the previous occupant. While messing around, they discovered that that was far from the case. The bookshelf concealed a secret stairwell that spiraled downwards. The stairs themselves seemed to lead directly into a wall at the bottom. Had that been the end of it then? This would have probably been a fun little discovery, but about halfway down the stairs, the two brothers found this crawl space barely large enough for an adult to fit in. Inside, they found a peel of a banana and some other plastic packaging. In this picture, you can really see how small this space was. Someone had been periodically living in their walls without them even knowing it, coming and going when the house was empty, and due to the house's soundproofing, it's likely that the unwanted guest slept in there at night, with the family remaining completely oblivious. These objects were found amongst the blanketing. A peculiar ornamental elephant, a key though, and the creepiest of all, this pair of dolls, what the intruder was doing with them, remains unclear. The thought of a stranger being in your house without your knowledge is a truly unsettling one. The thought that they considered it their home as well only makes it worse. Someone just lived there in such a small space in someone's house, with all he had were a few dolls. Those people are capable of all kinds of things. You never know what such a crazy person could have done in that house while they slept or showered. The police were contacted. Luckily, the police took care of everything for the Reddit user. And thankfully for the brothers, their house has remained intruder-free ever since. At least as far as they know. The next event on Reddit not only has a few posts, but there's an entire subreddit. Reddit's Carl H. Programming, set up by Carl Herald, was a community of computer science enthusiasts. Users would post about programming problems. They were having discussions about a topic, and Carl would respond with his insights. He was an extremely active and engaged moderator, who many in the community considered a friend. He would regularly meet up with members of the subreddit to teach them programming and coding, and even set up a YouTube channel to reach a wider audience and help others with their tech-related problems. His tutorials are still available to watch. He also helped users who reached out to him with personal problems, offering his support during moments of depression. He was generous with his time, an amazing motivational teacher, friendly and welcoming. But for all of his qualities, Carl had a very dark secret. In 2013, Carl was arrested for raping and torturing his 9-year-old son alongside his partner. The 33-year-old had been filming and taking pictures of the child performing sexual acts and distributed them online. His son was abused to such an extent that he ended up being admitted to a psychiatric ward. After Carl's arrest, the news quickly spread to Reddit, where members of Carl Programming were left in disbelief, shocked that a guy who they interacted with and considered a friend could have done such a thing. In November 2014, while awaiting trial for his crime, Carl was found dead in his county jail cell. He had committed suicide by hanging himself. It's a very strange subreddit to visit these days. There are of course those who are thrilled about Carl's death since what he did was so horrible, but amongst them are confused users who both condemn and thank Carl at the same time. He helped change the lives of many people in a positive way, but that doesn't excuse his heinous actions. The subreddit's become somewhat a dead chat group since nobody leaves posts there anymore, and reading through the past conversations between Carl and the other users, which all ended so abruptly, really makes it feel like a virtual ghost town. So, if you didn't already find this story very intense, then the next story might make you feel something, because this story also made me think a bit, and that doesn't happen often. Story 3, and the last one for this video. Aoki Mum was an active member of the Reddit community, a mother to 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. She participated a lot in conversations with other parents discussing family finances, recipes, parenting strategies. She was a devoted family woman and parent. For instance, she posted, "Life is about making good job or income choices and then making the best money choices based on your income. I would never give up having any of my children so I could have more money. They are amazing people and the world will benefit by having them. Nothing I could buy or invest in could compare to giving a person a chance to have a life and touching stuff. The thing is, Aoki Mum was a very active user 6 years ago. But then on June 24th, 2015, she made her final post on the site and then suddenly became inactive. Now that in itself isn't too unusual. I mean, people leave Reddit for all kinds of reasons, right? Maybe she got bored or busy. No, the reason behind her disappearance was much darker in nature. You see, Aoki Mum's real name was April Bever. She was 42 years old and was indeed the mother of 7 children. She was also one of the victims in the Broken Arrow killings, in which she, her husband, and 3 of her children were brutally murdered. And worst of all, her 2 sons are the ones who committed the massacre. On the night of July 22nd, 2015, brothers Robert and Michael Beaver, 18 and 16, respectively lured their family members into the house, then suddenly began attacking them with hatchets and other blades. April was punctured 48 times in the neck, head, torso, arms and hands. Her husband David was punctured 28 times, Daniel Bever 12, Christopher Bever 7, and Victoria Bever 5. They all lost their lives that fateful night. The 2 brothers also tried to slay their sister Crystal, 13 years old. But even though her throat was slit and her stomach punctured, she not only managed to survive, but was able to call the authorities for help. Officers arrived in time to save her life and apprehend Robert and Michael. Autumn Pepper, who was only 2 years old at the time, was sound asleep and unharmed in another room. Robert confessed to what he and his brother had done, and even stated that had the police not arrived, they were planning to drive around the area and kill 5 people each at various locations until they reached a body count of 50 people. Michael took things further, saying he wanted to claim the lives of 500 people, an outlandish target. But who knows how many lives Crystal saved that night by calling the police. Reading throughout Aoki Mum's old ordinary Reddit posts is absolutely heart-wrenching. Knowing what ultimately became of her, she wrote about her sons so warmly and lovingly. But in the end, they were the ones who not only took her life, but the lives of the rest of her family that she loved so much. Robert and Michael were sentenced to life in prison, Michael with the possibility of parole, Robert without. They're serving their time in separate correctional centers at the moment. But I think it's better that they both never, ever get out.